Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I appreciate you joining me today. As 2024 has officially come to a close, what I wanted to talk about was my top philosophies that I really adopted and introduced into my life in 2024, what they meant to me, and how they impacted my life. And then a follow-up video is going to be about 2025. So with that, let's dive right in. So what I did for all of these philosophies first and foremost was a lot of them are going to be quotes. I had to internalize and interpret them. But I mentioned before that I'm a huge fan of using an application called TicTic. What I actually did is I programmed these quotes or the quotes that made me really gain the philosophy into TicTic to appear. And I have 3 quotes that pop up per day, rotating different quotes every single day. So it just stays in the front of my mind at all times. Started out honestly doing this. I had a piece of paper stuck on my wall. But then it just got to be too many quotes. Again, I said I have 3 on it every single day. So I got 21 different quotes that are being fed to me every single week that I really, really like, that were top of mind. And from those 21, we're not going to cover all of them. We're going to cover the ones that actually really stuck, really changed my mindset, really made me feel better throughout 2024 and achieve more. And I will also do my best to attribute them to each person individually. But if in the case I don't, a lot of these things are going to be coming from, Alex Hormozy, Naval Ravikant, Chris Williamson's podcast. So I know he has a crap ton of guests. So might not be from him specifically, but might be from one of the guests. Could be Andrew Huberman. So yeah, there's just a variety of people out there. I'll do my best to attribute to each one accurately. But with that, let's dive right in here. So first one absolutely comes from Alex Hormozy, which is the quality of the hero depends on the size of the monster. And this was one, I'm actually going to couple another one with it, which is there's someone out there who has had it worse and done it better. And these 2 things really hit me hard because they gave me permission to embrace the suck and also understanding that the suck sucks. And that's just where a lot of us fall down, is we start a new endeavor, we start a new project, we begin learning a new thing, we begin outputting a new skill, and it's just terrible when we first do it, or it's so foreign to us learning these new things. And it just gives you the permission to go, it's okay that it sucks. That's where you have to start. And the second side of it is a lot of us like to look at our past and define ourselves today based on that. And when you think about just some of the worst atrocities or lifestyles or childhoods or teenage years or whatever it is, periods of life that people go through, and they surpass it, they overcome that and just kill the game of life in a positive way. It's just very... It puts you in a very different perspective, and it really allows you to look at your point of view and or your stage in life and go like, is this really a big deal? Like, is it a big deal and worth not making progress over because I'm nervous to fire an employee, or that I need to learn a new language to penetrate a new market, within my company because we're going into a new region across the globe? And is that really worth the stress and anxiety of just like losing sleep and sweats, etc., when you have people who are coming from senses of poverty and overcoming it, or are relocating globally? The amount of immigrants that are coming over and they're leaving all of their friends and family in order to succeed and make something of themselves. And just when you look at the best stories in time, we don't know about the hero that killed a garden snake to save someone, right? They're slaying dragons and demons and monsters and crazy things. And so the quality of the hero depends on the size of the monster. And then the second thing with this is, as you slay your monsters, that then also gives you evidence that you can slay the next one. And this is actually going to be a little bit of neuroscience. I believe it was from Andrew Huberman, and I'm going to forget which portion of your brain is. Maybe it's the mid cingulate something cortex. But it's actually a portion of your brain that's rooted in willpower. And the more that you stress it and overcome and stress it and overcome and stress it and overcome, you actually are building up your ability to deal with and overcome difficult situations. So this was just a super, super powerful quote that when I would get in those times of just feeling overwhelmed and feeling too stressed and then I couldn't make it through, this pops up in my face and it's like, oh, like this is what it's all for. And year after year after year, I look at the previous year's monsters that I had to slay, and it just gives me the evidence for the current ones, but they also just sometimes feel so insignificant compared to the current ones as well. And you're like, oh, I can do this. It's fine, right? Okay, so moving on. I am going to forget the true source of this one, but I know that the roundabout way I came to was Chris Williamson's podcast, Modern Wisdom, which is loneliness is the tax we have to atone for a certain complexity of mind. And this can come off as sort of an arrogant, oh, I'm this genius complexity mind quote, but that's not really what it's saying. But if you are somebody who has lofty goals, who really wants high achievement, it's a lonely path. I don't know whether this is a stereotype or whether it's statistically accurate, but, there's a common saying over the last 12 months, the average American is divorced, obese, and has less than $1,000 in the bank. That's average. So are you above average? Are you below average? Or are you average? Like which one of those three do you fall into from that category, right? And so that means that that's the 50% mark. So if you're somebody that's like, you know what? I may not want to be a billionaire or a trillionaire, but I at least want to be a millionaire. Like I want to hold $1 million. That's a lonely path. There's not many people that are doing that. The 1% club of income in America, I believe, is 400,000, high threes, somewhere around there. That means even if you're in that top 10% club, which is going to be, I believe, six figures or 150, something like that last time I checked, that's still 90% of the population that's not in your club. So if you have moderately successful goals or even highly successful goals for what you want to do, it's a lonely path. And it's the tax that you have to pay for those goals. And so embracing that you might have to cut friends, you might have to cut family, you might have to cut mentors because you've surpassed them. There's so many things that this feeds into, but just knowing again and giving permission that it's okay to not have this quantitative result of people in your life, but the qualitative result with fewer people is what's going to get you to that end result of, like I said, of somewhat levels of success. Next one is, and this is something that was learned for better or worse. So I don't really have an attributing person to this, but actions are everything. Nothing else matters. Learning is nothing other than actions. So watching a video on the thing isn't doing the thing, or writing about it, planning it, reviewing it. None of those really matter. Actions are what make up everything about the judgment of you and the results that you get. You cannot have a result without an action. So if, again, you want $1 million, if you take no actions, you will not get it. If you want $0, you do that only by taking no action. If you even think about it, somebody says, hey, how, I haven't quite met Susie. I know we're meeting tonight, but how would you describe her? You're going to talk about the actions that Susie takes. Here's what her and I have done together, or, she does this for a living, and, she's very hardworking and she's very trustworthy and honest, right? Like, you're going to describe her through the actions that she's taken. Actions are everything. Nothing else matters. And so how this is going to be impactful, or how this was impactful for me, was getting out of analysis paralysis, getting out of the planning phase and into the doing mode. Because when there's anything that I've looked at in my life that I've done well, whether it's career coaching, whether it's my information technology career, even going back to when I was a teenager, being asked to be a professional paintball player, being a moderately successful young, soccer player, I didn't get there by watching videos and reading books. I got there by doing. Every single thing in my life that I have gotten better at and gotten good at is from actions. I might look to the outside world or an external source to get a little bit of input to either give me an advantage or set me up. Or once I've been starting to do the thing that I can't get past, I'm good at soccer, but I can't do corner kicks. Then maybe I'm going to seek out an external source to solve my corner kick, but then I still need to practice it after I do it. Actions are everything. Nothing else matters. Fourth one is going to be, this is, again, Alex Hormozy, if I recall correctly. You can beat 99% of people simply by continuing to work without needing immediate reward. And we are in a culture of immediate gratification and distraction and wanting everything tomorrow. And nothing good or nothing great comes immediately. You may have that as a one-off, but that's not really going to be what you can bank on. But what you can bank on is you showing up and doing it every single day without seeing the results. Again, it was a 4-year paintball career before I got to the point of being asked to play professionally. I didn't even know that was my intent. Ironically, I actually turned down the offer when I got it. But I wouldn't have gotten that if I wasn't willing to continue the work without even aiming for that reward, right? Again, same thing with breaking into leadership, 7 years ago, the first time I became a team lead. That happened because, and unironically or ironically, I wanted nothing to do with leadership for the longest time in my career. I didn't want to play politics. I didn't want to play the game. I didn't want to have to fire people. I didn't want to have to do, but I wouldn't have even had the chance if I didn't continue to work without needing the reward in the end or thinking that was going to be the reward in the end. But again, going back to actions are everything. By just performing actions without seeing the result, doing it over and over and over and over again, you will beat most people, because most people want to make a YouTube video and see subscribers. They want to build a project plan and just see the results. They want to go on an interview and get a job offer. And that's just not how the world works. You need to be willing to do things both in failure and success without the results. Next one. This is, I heard it from Douglas Murray, and I don't remember his source fully, but it is, in life, we must choose our regrets. This is one that for me really helped to facilitate decision-making. That's how I look at this. Most people focus on the positives of their decisions. Okay, so I can either go to the amusement park or I can go back to work. And they're just going to look at, well, what does each one get me, right? Going to the amusement park is going to get me time with friends and get me a break and get me mental recovery and blah, 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 blah. Going to work is maybe going to make my boss, look good, is maybe going to give me some results. It might lead to some financial gain in the long run, right? But flip it. Each of those comes with an opportunity cost. Opportunity cost is baked in to life and to every decision that you make. So look at that on the other side. If I don't go to the amusement park, what's the cost? Really nothing. Like, you could say, yes, you lost out with the time of friends. You lost out with a little bit of social time. If it is actually going to be a break and recharging for you, you lost out on that once. But over here, you lost out on a competitive advantage. You lost out on potential salary gain. You lost out on being able to make a case and push your career forward by making this choice over and over again. Again, continuing to work without needing the immediate reward, right? So looking at the opportunity cost is sometimes a lot better of a decision maker than simply looking at the reward in the end. And that is how I interpreted this, that in life we must choose our regrets. Is every decision, every choice, everything has opportunity cost baked in. And that should be our meter as to whether or not we're going to make the right decision, is which cost actually goes against my goals and which cost has nothing to do with my goals. And you should not sacrifice the cost that goes towards your goals. Okay. This one is going to be Jordan Peterson. And while this is a quote that I heard a long time ago, it has not necessarily come into play until I really started making content, and that I still struggle with, but am trying to fully overcome. To think you must risk offense. Now that I'm putting my ideas publicly out here, I need to actually be okay with ruffling some feathers, because I know I have some beliefs when it comes to working 16-hour days, 6 days a week, when it comes to can never stop learning, continuously growing, even one of my very recent videos about what to prepare for in the 2025 job market, being willing to relocate, being willing to change careers, being willing to change industries. I have some beliefs and some ideas that are going to ruffle some feathers, and that's okay, because in the marketplace of ideas, we should be pitting our ideas against each other and seeing which is the best idea. And while I believe that, this is the first time I'm really putting that to test on a larger and larger scale. It's one thing to do it with my wife, with my friends, with my coworkers, with my boss, with the people that report to me, right? But these are all small scale, very one-to-one. Maybe my one-to-many is, 5 or 6 at once in a company meeting or something like that, right? But when we're talking that I have videos that are already getting 500 views, I have blogs that are being read hundreds of times. I need to be okay with putting the right information out there, and the information that I believe, both for 2 reasons. One, in the event that the information I'm putting out is right, really sets people up for success. And 2, in the event that my idea is wrong, I'm opening the door to being corrected so that I get the best idea. It goes both ways. That to think you must risk offense is a 2-way street. My whole goal is to set people up for success. Have you learned from my failures? Have you learned from my successes? Cherry pick what works for you, mold it to you, and boom, off to the races. Be better than me. That's the whole point in coaching and mentorship. And so by putting my ideas out there, it's a 2-way street. I am being open to being criticized and being told that, hey, you're wrong and here's why. And we discuss it and we come to the best conclusion. And on the flip side, that's a sweet idea. That's an awesome idea. Thank you for putting it out there. So in 2025, where I am expanding my content generation to, I'll be on all major platforms. So right now I'm just on LinkedIn and YouTube, but going to TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, and those 4, I need to be okay with just speaking the truth and reaping the consequences. So going into the second to last one, you cannot lose if you do not quit. This got me through so many difficult times this year in 2024. There were a variety of personal and family issues that we had. I mentioned in a previous video that my career coaching business lost 70% of its lead gen. I ended 2023 coming into 2024 with the job market telling me I could not maintain my title after 70 applications or so and getting 1 callback, that effectively I was not as valuable as I thought I was. I entered 2024, I'm not going to say at rock bottom, but like very trapped and just needing to take action in a variety of areas. And it was just demeaning week after week, month after month, not having lead gen in my business, the job market telling me that I wasn't valuable. When it came to the personal life, having a couple different family issues, and just being reminded, you cannot lose if you do not quit. So many times, it may not have been my best day, but it brought me back. It put me back into action mode, and I pushed through all of it. And I am now ending 2024, 12 months later. I just went through a job search, had a 12% response rate, 5 simultaneous offers. I just started doing, a financial net worth tracker, and I'm in the best financial position I've ever been. I do not have any debt that is not real-time debt, meaning I'm paying it off as we're going on any given month when it comes to credit cards, etc. Got my new job. My business had 0% revenue change year over year with a 70% lead gen loss. So many things that just by showing up, by taking action, when I wanted to quit most, but that is the actually only way to lose is to quit, was crucial in 2024. And I could not speak more highly of that mindset. And the last one is very simple. Say what you're going to do and do what you're going to say. It is arguably the most effective form of accountability. is by putting out either to a friend, a family member, a coworker, a boss, or even yourself, this is what I'm going to do, and then doing it. Because if you don't, then you have to face that person, that agreement, that customer, that family, and disappointing them, or yourself, disappointing yourself week after week, month after month, day after day. Set up, this is what I was going to do, and I didn't want to do it. And that resentment and disappointment will just build and build and build. And that reflects on you not being trustworthy. You don't uphold your word. You are not honest. So many character flaws. So put out into the world what you're going to do, whether that's in writing, in a to-do list, in something like TicTic, or with a family member, with your spouse, with your special someone, with a friend, whatever. Put it out there what you're going to do, and then do it. Otherwise, you're going to wallow and face that resentment and disappointment over and over again. Quick recap of my best philosophies in 2024 that led to the most outsized returns. Quality of hero depends on the size of the monster. Loneliness is the tax we have to pay to atone for a certain complexity of mind. Actions are everything, nothing else matters. You can beat 99% of people simply by continuing to work without needing immediate reward. In life, we must choose our regrets. To think you must risk offense, you cannot lose if you do not quit, and say what you're going to do and do what you're going to say. Boom. Those were the most impactful things in 2024 for me from a mindset perspective that kept me going in the hard times to push through and achieve what I achieved in a variety of ways of every aspect of my life, of financial, personal, relationship, friendship, business, day job, all of it. Every metric is up because of this. If you like this type of content, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. If you have things that really hit you hard and hit close to home in 2024 that made a huge impact for you, share it below in the comments. Let's build a community of like-minded people that come to this content and come to this community in order to be their best selves and achieve their best selves and make their aspirations become their story. Thank you again for your time. I appreciate it. Until next time, thank you.